Listener powered 90.3 KEXP, online all over the world at KEXP.org. I'm very pleased to have in the studio from Portland and on KEXP. You're listening to and on KEXP.
Black and the red, it's under the curtains, the land of the dead. truer than I could realize. Now I know this is all just a joke.
You're listening to live music by and here on Audio Oasis on KEXP, and they are performing new songs, or they're performing songs from their new album that came out this year in February called Idiot. And I'm so happy to have you all here. To watch you all at Tree Fort was such a great experience for me. And then I kind of I ran up to one of you and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. I think one of the things that makes me so excited about and is just my entire career of just working at KEXP. When you think of Portland, and is one of the bands that you think of. And I remember even last year when I went to PDX Pop Now and I saw you guys playing basketball. And I was like, oh, there they are. It's really nice to have you all here. So thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. I thought, I don't know, we already kind of talked about this, but you guys have a lot of things. Your website is really fun to look at. You guys have some games, recommendations. You have a blog that's really, really great and detailed, and music videos, which we can get into. But I feel like you guys are very thorough in explaining your moves and your actions around what you do. And I love that because I feel like there's an educational element to just sharing what you're doing as a band. And you all have been together since 2009? Yeah. So we'll start with the themes of this album because I know Failure had really specific themes, and that was the album that came out before Idiot. Just really great things to just think about in terms of the word failure.
Yeah. Failure is about identifying as a failure, basically, and being depressed and having very poor mood management in my life. And then Idiot expands on those themes, I guess. Basically calling myself an idiot, calling God an idiot. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The main themes of that album are kind of consciousness and how it's a double-edged sword. That is really nice to be alive, but it's really terrifying to be aware of your own death. You can just overanalyze everything so deeply. And I was kind of thinking of those themes of maybe that's where my anxiety and depression that I can't get a grasp on is coming from. It's existential stuff. And then it's all just this situational stuff too, constantly. And then also the idea that that knowledge that you have that maybe I know plants and animals all have consciousness, but a human has a little different thing. You're aware of your own death. And then, we're walking around thinking we have a real good idea of everything, and we don't really have any idea. What we see is just a tiny sliver of reality. And there's so much more going on all the time that we don't even see. And so we have a sliver of the third dimension that we even can comprehend or see, and there's so infinite things happening. And so those are the themes I was thinking about, and that even God could be an idiot. He there's something bigger than him. So one of the things I really liked reading, because it made me think of just something that happened in school. A person can see colors a dog cannot see. A dog can hear pitches that a person cannot hear. Those colors and pitches still exist whether we detect them or not. And it made me think about how a teacher told me once to look up, all the time. Just look up, no matter where you are, just look up. Because we're always looking down, and we're always looking forward, but we're never looking up. The other day, I was in the bathroom at a club, and I looked up, and there was a really creepy clown head
like going full circle. And I was like, see, it works. Like that can be applied in everything.
That's funny. That's my line of work. I'm a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
Been a teacher for like 10 years. And I'm always trying to recapture what it's like to be a kid. And it's nice being around kids because they see the world in a much different, much better way, I think, than I do.
Well, you know, we've had experiences and we can get tainted and bitter with some of those experiences.
Oh, yes.
And they are just so fresh to the world that they say these things that are really, can be just so higher power. Like, oh my gosh, really? So I love being around kids too. I know what you're saying. Another thing about you all is, I thought that this was, it just made me smile. You manage yourself, you book your own tours, you make your own music videos, you built your own practice space, and you do all of your physical and digital distribution. And I also want to point out that Idiot is available for free download, which is wonderful, because it is a great album. But there's one part where it says, we enjoy doing it.
Bim enjoys doing it.
So, well, speaking for the band, can you talk about that? Because that is a huge job, and not everyone enjoys doing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's important to understand what, like, sort of our standards for what's called a job, you know? And that, like, usually in our world that we live in, a job is something that you do whether or not you like it, so you can get something else you like. And that's usually money that then is housing and food and all that stuff. But we're not a band that has, like, ambitions to be making money as a band. We want to sustain ourselves as a band so we can continue to do it. You know, our goal is to make music, not really to make money. And so for us, in that, doing stuff ourselves lets us do stuff in a way that is a better representation of that goal than going out and hiring someone to do it, you know? And so that's why we enjoy it, because it's part of the same thing as making the music.
Yeah. I really want to point out the blog on your webpage, because you actually go through piece by piece how you built the practice space in your basement.
Yeah.
And it made me think about, like, this new building, KEXP's new building, which you guys haven't been to yet. I don't even think, did you come to the old building too? Mm-mm. No, okay, this is your first time here.
We're rarely invited to places.
Well, I'm glad that I got you here. Our booth, our DJ booth, is like a room within a room, so that we could have it facing our gathering space and people can see it and people can see us. And we can still have the stage there, so there's low tones that you can hear when you're in the booth. It just made me think about how cool that was. Yeah. And also on the blog, it says that the neighbors can't hear what you're doing.
And that, I mean, that's the goal. Like, we're in Portland, and everybody knows that Portland is, like, booming, and there's all these tensions between, you know, like, people who are just moving there now and people who have been in bands for a long time there. And our sort of view of all of that is, like, can't we just figure out a way that no one is bugged by anyone, you know? And this, for us, is a great way to do that, because it not only makes us have a space that's our own, that we built, that, you know, like, that has meaning, rather than just some practice space, you know? But also, I mean, just the, like, money side of it, like, it saves us $5,000 a year. Yeah. You know, and it's like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Makes sense.
Yeah, after we did it, and it, like, the reason that we wanted to write that piece on the website was to have other bands hit us up and we can help them do it. And we've done that with a couple of other bands already, and we're hoping to help others do it as well.
That's great. That's awesome. We should hear some more songs from the new album, Idiot.
All right.
You're listening to And on KEXP.
This song's called Tedium Everlasting.
Tedium everlasting.
just installing windows for the blind. My aim has been a little off the mark. I'm trying to thread a needle in the dark. And all I want is nothing more than to feed the flesh of the king to the ones he ignores. You can't fall in love with a bad idea, but it'll turn out wrong if you're right. What the hell are you doing to me? It never was quite clear enough to see. The tallest tree absorbs most of the light. I lost the war without a chance to fight. And all I want is nothing more than to feed the flesh of the king to the ones he ignores. You can't fall in love with a bad idea, but it'll turn out wrong if you're right. Yeah, you can't fall in love with a bad idea, but it'll turn out wrong if you're right.
You've been listening to live music by Ann here on the show, and they are performing songs from their new album, Idiot. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about who Braji is.
Braji's sort of a pet name that we affectionately call the underlying force that we call the like modern internet. So it's sort of like a catch-all for anything from the consolidation that's happened through, companies like Facebook or Google, all the way down to things like Spotify and streaming for music and all those things. So Braji is any and all of those.
Do you think that it's important to have your music on those mediums?
From an artistic standpoint, I think it's the opposite. I think it's important not to. But it's tough because what we want has to be balanced, not just from artistically what we would want to like stand for. It also has to be balanced with like we want people to hear our music and we want them to have it, And that can be tough because a lot of people only listen through those things,
Yeah. I thought one of the things that was really special on the website is there's a voice recording of you, Bim, doing the press release, speaking the press release. And I love the music behind it.
Yeah, and that, I wanted to bring that up when you first started saying that, because that was Hustle and Drone.
Oh, cool.
Our good friends down in Portland.
Yeah, awesome.
And they're actually one of the bands that we helped build their own practice space
That's
recently.
awesome.
But yeah, they did that for us, and we're so happy.
Well,
they
it's
did such a good
moving.
job.
I listened to it twice. I'll probably listen to it again.
Awesome.
I liked it because you can listen to it. When I was listening to it, I think that's when I started to feel really overwhelmed by you all. Like I was just like, oh my gosh. It's like all of this information, and like they are bringing in all of these themes and all of these questions, and I'm like all over the place, like trying to figure out how to focus and how to like really get to like the point of, well, the point that I came up with is you guys are like creating a greater community by asking questions and putting all those questions into people's heads so that they can possibly understand like why people do what they do, why you guys are doing what you're doing, and why you made the decisions that you made behind this particular album to do everything, like not have it distributed, like make it free for download, and also question why other people are doing what they do with their...
Yeah. And our position is always that what we want to do is think long and hard about everything that we take action on and what we pursue.
Yeah.
And then explain to the people that we know why we came to those decisions. But I think it goes a little too far when we would start to think of that as saying people who choose a different path are wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't think that at all.
Yeah,
like
I get that.
we don't have any kind of problem with, we're not going out there being like, we didn't put our stuff on Spotify, and if you did, you're a jerk. You know, like that's not it at all.
Yeah,
It's just trying to spread in our small, tiny little micro network that we have.
It comes across that way.
For us,
Yeah.
it just did not make any sense to
Yeah, it was just
pursue any of those avenues because we aren't making any big money anyways, and we're not playing huge places all over the country. So it's like,
Yeah.
why
And for
why
us,
would we do it?
Yeah, it was just sort of a silly offer. If you just put the offer that streaming companies give bands, which is a standard offer, so it's a standard contract, standard distribution deal, standard rates, all that stuff is standardized, and we don't have any opportunity to talk with them about the contract. You know, and that in itself, for me, is sort of like a no-go.
Yeah.
You know, like if you don't have choice of contract, you don't have consent. And for me, I think artists should have consent.
What has been the response from just your listeners, and like, did you make any new listeners?
I think it's been
Meaning
great.
fans?
Like it's been so awesome to just like do all of it. And this is the first time that we released a studio album completely on our own, you know? And that's really daunting. And then we put in like a lot of work. And it was really cool to see all the things that worked and all the people who reached out right away and connected with them. And it's just awesome, you know?
The music videos, you're doing a whole storyline for the album. And there's 5 online right now already. What's next?
We were just
we were-
talking about this today.
Just today, yeah.
Got some new ideas to do.
Some Muppets, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna build a Muppet of Jonathan, our bass player, and it's gonna be just like him, and it's gonna have a smokable cigarette that can, like, his hand moves up,
Yeah.
and there's gonna be smoke coming out of the Muppet, and
Well,
he's gonna
we
be
haven't
operating
decided.
his
We
own
haven't really
Muppet for the
decided.
video.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the storyline a little bit with the music videos?
I think the storyline just, like, I was at PDX Pop Now, the festival in Portland, like, years ago, maybe in 2014, summer of it, and I just went and was sitting under the Morrison Bridge, and I was like, man, I wish I had a beer. And I was like, I wish I could get a fishing pole and fish a beer out of this river. And then, like, the idea just came from that. And then I was like, oh, I'll catch a beer out of the river. I'll catch a chicken and then some ribs. And then we'll go home and have a barbecue. And I was like, oh, we'd make that in a video. And then we made it into the video. And then we're like, oh, we could just make this a continual tangential thing where it's just like one thing leads to another and it never ends. So, like, you could just keep doing it.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. So we don't know what we're gonna do next, but we can always do something.
Yeah.
And it could go anywhere.
Yeah. So you're talking about the next music video. Do you have anything else coming up? Any tour or like shows or anything?
No.
We're gonna be working on recording our next album.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the
That's sort of our
main
whole-
thing.
Oh, the
Focus.
double LP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
about 2/3 written right now.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna be just kind of focusing on that.
Cool. Well, this all sounds great, and it was really awesome to have you all here and to be able to talk to you about these cool things.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. You've been listening to live music by and on Audio Oasis on KEXP, Seattle.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.